yeah, one of my missions is to um, build labyrinths at certain areas, at certain places, because in the future, in the present, whatever, in this time, um, all these spots, they are connected. They are connected, and that activation is really needed, because when you put a labyrinth in the ground, it is a kind of portal between Earth and cosmos.
So hi, Soul Family, and welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Haji, and this is the first amazing holistic healing stories. Our guest today is Cathy Camertijn. How do I say your last name?
Camertijn, but it's okay. It's Dutch.
Camertijn.
Yes.
Camertijn.
Yeah.
Okay. And you are from Belgium?
Belgium. Yes.
Yes. I visited. I loved it. Loved it, loved it,
Really?
loved it. Yes.
Where did you visit?
The city, I guess the city center. This was years ago, and I have a horrible memory. All I remember is chocolate, just lots and lots of chocolate.
It's probably is Bruges or
Yes,
Brussels. Bruges. Yeah,
Brussels.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Ah, Brussels. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I
They have
loved
very good chocolate.
it. Okay, so Cathy, the main gist of this show is about labyrinths, and I am beyond excited. There are times that you might have to reel me back in because I'm very excited about this topic. But I'm going to give you the spotlight now to tell us about what you do, how you started doing it, and as much as you can about labyrinths, and then we'll jump into Q&A.
Okay, okay. So please interrupt me if you have also questions, because there is a lot to talk about. And so thank you very much to have me as a host. I'm very honored. And yeah, I'm living in Belgium, and there is so many things to say about labyrinths. But to answer one of your questions, how did labyrinths came into my life? And that is quite a nice story to tell. And it came into my life in August 2019. And I was on a solo tour with a camper van throughout Europe. And it was a trip for around 4 to 5 months. And I was driving in the whole of Europe. I visited 15 countries, 15,000 kilometers, and I let myself guide. But the main topic of that road trip was silence. So I wanted to do a tour on silence and discover in each country how does silence play there, how does it is used in communication, in art, in meditation, in healing, and so in child literature. So many things about silence. And around the middle in my tour, I came with my daughter, and we were in the north of Finland, and we did our vacation with the camper van to the south. And at that the final end, 2 days before we went back to Belgium, we were visiting an outside planetarium. It was an area I came across. And at a certain moment, my daughter ran up a small hill and she started doing turns. And I was, what is she doing up there? And I looked to my right side, and there was a little plate. Labyrinths. Labyrinths are old mystical symbols from 4,000, 5,000 years old. And I took a picture, and I had no idea about what is a labyrinth is. So I went up and I took a picture, and I saw a big labyrinth, the form of the Chartres labyrinth. Apparently, it was, but still no interest in labyrinths. I I brought my daughter home. Nothing happened. I came back to Finland. And after 2 weeks, I had the thing, oh yeah, really, I have to look what a labyrinth is. And then I started to see some things at YouTube, and it really took over. I saw every video of labyrinths. The second part of my visit was in Estland, Letland, Litouwen, not Österreich. What's it called in English? I don't know. Oostenrijk. You have Germany and then
Austria.
Yeah. I visited more than 30 labyrinths, labyrinth builders, labyrinth artists. I was completely into it. So I came to Belgium again at the end of my tour, and I was full of energy, and I wanted to bring labyrinths to the people here. And I was so enthusiastic, but then I came home and I had no clue where there was a labyrinth here. There were no labyrinths here. It was so difficult. It was not on public spaces. It was so difficult here and there. You had some, but to be honest, I was disappointed. But then it started also a very creative process within me. And because it's not so easy to build at that moment for me, you don't just build a labyrinth anywhere at a certain place. But I encountered the concept of finger labyrinths. So these are on paper or on wood. And because I was also an energy worker, this was more easy to put into my guidance, also into my healings. And after 2 months, when I was home, I got a download, you can call it like that, and I started to draw what should look like a labyrinth, but because I cannot like draw very correctly, I asked a person who I met on my journey who designed labyrinths. This is the form that I got, but you put it geometrically correct. And so after some back and forth and so on, I created a new form of labyrinth. And if you would allow me, this is the book finally that I wrote. So this is a new form. I called it the Labyrinth of Harmony. Mm-hmm. It is a two-finger labyrinth.
Yes.
You see?
Oh, wow.
And it is made linked to the different chakras. So you have I work with the 12 chakras, and most of the people know the 7 chakras. And I linked this model to the 12 chakras. So I was completely into the labyrinths, but then a kind of rest came. We also had the period of the COVID that fell in, because I was beside doing energy work, I also wanted to start a new business. I was an independent at that time, with doing wedding ceremonies in this labyrinth, the both sides, and then meet in the center. And so this is still a very good idea, but due to the context, it was not possible to start that project. So I gave it a rest, and I took another journey in my life. And at the end of 2023, I got another calling that I had to go and visit a city in Scotland, a city that I passed by during my tour. And it was very funny. It's like, okay, I need to visit that city, and there should be a clue on my journey. And so I went to, it was Edinburgh in Scotland. I went to visit Edinburgh with a friend, and we were like visiting, you know, the touristical stuff, and I was like, okay, but what is my clue? Why do I need to be here? What is it that I need to know? And at a certain moment, my friend said, you know, Cathy, they have a labyrinth here at the University of Edinburgh. And it was like a bam, a flashlight, and it was, oh my God, again, this is it. And of course, we went to visit the labyrinth. And from that moment on, for me, it was really clear I have to integrate the labyrinth story into my life, to work with it, to create a second business, because on the main time I do a job now, but then as a second job, I've created Neolabyrinthium, and the main mission that I feel that I have is to reactivate the energy of labyrinths again, because they are so necessary in this era, because they have a certain energy, and that is the energy of harmony. It's a fundamental energy of creating harmony within itself, and the environment and everything around. So we really need that pure connection with ourselves again, and with nature, other people, our environment. And the symbols of labyrinths, but that's the essence of those symbols. That's what they do. Another thing what they do is they activate certain spots and areas. So what I also feel that is, one of my missions is to build labyrinths at certain areas, at certain places, because in the future, in the present, whatever, in this time, all these spots, they are connected. They are connected, and that activation is really needed, because when you put a labyrinth in the ground, it is a kind of portal between Earth and cosmos. And if you put yourself in the middle of it, of the labyrinth, you are the portal. So what is really needed is, in both directions, is that the intelligence of the Earth needs to be activated and needs to be shown. So that is one direction. And the other one, from the cosmos, we also have a lot of cosmic knowledge and energy, needs to come down to Earth. And a central place where the both come together is when you stand in a labyrinth, when you stand in the center of a labyrinth. And then the third reason why it's so important to reactivate the energy at this and in the future of labyrinths is because labyrinths are the symbol of the female energy. It is the woman energy. And that is really so needed to reactivate this way of living and this way of being. And this counts for both, for the men and for the women. It's just that Earth is really crying for this energy to be reactivated. And that is also a role of the labyrinths. Do you have a question for me? Because I
Yes,
can
yes, yes.
go.
I have a million questions, and
Okay, okay.
this your story has already I was already excited with just the idea of labyrinths, and I see you as this pioneer. Like when you're telling your story, I literally see like your spirit guides just kind of like gradually pushing you towards where you need to be so that all of this could happen. And I feel like
Yeah.
you're not even at the end of the journey. I feel like you're in the middle-ish. Like there's so much that you can do with this.
I think not even in the middle. I feel
Yeah.
I am really pushed, but not in a negative way. Pulled,
Mhm.
pulled. It's an attraction. There is so much still to come that I don't know yet. But I
Mm,
know that everything that I do now and I've created until now um,
mhm,
was exactly what I needed to do. But it's yeah, it's going to be a whole other and new story still to come. But I don't think that at this moment I'm allowed even to see the bigger picture.
mm,
It's really it's also of being in this state, trust the process, being fully aligned, and really feel what is the next step that I can take. What is the next step? What is the next step? And um, going into the state of surrender and really follow the path and knowing that it will appear when it really appears. But I have a kind of an idea where it's going, but I don't want to control it
yes,
because
yeah.
that is a contradiction to the energy of the labyrinths, and it is really so fascinating. It is
Yes.
really beautiful.
Yes.
It has brought me um, to places where I normally shouldn't have been,
Mm,
or never would go. It is an external journey, but most of it is an internal journey that always occurs, always, and it's fascinating to every time that you walk it. It's a different journey,
mhm,
and it's it's so how should I say it, um, supporting. It is really a very supporting energy because as a for my what did I studied is I studied pedagogy. I don't know if you have it in America, but
oh,
it's training and education. So it's the science about
oh,
learning.
okay.
Yeah, learning. And I worked in that area for 20 years as a coach, as a trainer, and to upgrade your skills and your competences, and our leadership skills and trainings and doing. But at the end, I was really disappointed about the results and the change that happened within people by using classical learning techniques.
Mm,
Then I encountered labyrinths. And for me, this is the only tool you need in life.
mm,
You got you get every training, every lesson, every insight, every transformation, every change, every growth you want.
mm,
And that is really so fascinating that those 20 years are just put in the concept of labyrinths. And when you use labyrinths in the context of workshops and education, it's an how do you say it? It's an exponential effect of every information that was passed by the teacher. Yeah,
yes. I have so many things happening in my brain at once, so I want to make sure there's some
yeah.
things I have to make sure I say. So the first
Okay.
thing is that, so just here in the United States, the labyrinth, we have the labyrinth from the 1980s with David Bowie, I think. So we had that movie. So it's fantastic, you know, about fantasy and for children. Then you have Pan's Labyrinth, which is kind of like dark and whatever, but you have Pan's Labyrinth. You have not so many, it's not like it's a whole plethora of labyrinth type things. You also have mazes, which is going to be my next question for you. The difference between maze and labyrinth. People need to know this.
Yes.
You have Maze Runner and things like that. So it's this weird thing, like you said, like you were not, when you first saw your first labyrinth, you had no idea, like, what is this, that? But once you were there, it was like, oh yeah,
Of
like
course.
you're remembering something. It's like when people go, because I do a lot of NDEs, like near death experiences. When
Okay.
people go to and they see the lights that they think is like the creator or God, it's like, oh yeah, like how could I have forgotten you? Like duh, you know. So it's this weird thing where it's like it's a physical thing, whether it's the finger labyrinth or it's rocks or hedges and stuff, but it's also metaphysical. And it's also
Mhm.
symbolic. It's just, and I think it comes down to the fact that life is like a labyrinth, or would you say, okay, so here's the question. What is the difference between a labyrinth and a maze? And what would you say life is more like, a labyrinth or a maze?
To answer the second question, my quote is, live life like a labyrinth.
Mm.
That is really my quote. Live your life as a labyrinth. What if I want to give public speaking on this, because this is really my topic. Live your life as a labyrinth. And so many diseases, stress elements, insecurities will disappear, because what is now the reality is that our lives, society, is organized like a maze. And in a maze, the essence is to create chaos, to create disillusion, to create despair, to create the element of failure, to create running out of energy, you know. It's also used as a play, for children. There's a playful element also in it, but the essence is, for me, that a maze creates a whole other type of energy. For example, you enter the maze, and or the essence is to reach the center or to find the other exit. Because a big difference between a maze and a labyrinth is that a maze can have maybe one entrance, but most of the times has two entrances. An entrance and an exit. And that is one difference. So, and the focus is to try to find something, which also says on the other side, it's not sure that you will. If you make wrong choices, you will not find it. And that creates a lot of stress. And that is really like programmed in our mind. You have to find what is your purpose, what is your goal, what is your whatever. It's like make the right choice, which implies that there is a wrong one. And what we do is, like, because of fear, we are so hesitating to live life by the fear of making a wrong choice. Because apparently in life you have wrong choice and a right choice. But what is the difference? That's because we see life as a maze. And in the maze, it is like that. You go to your left, and for example, you run because you have a lot of energy, you are enthusiastic, and then at a certain moment, bam, there is that wall, and you fall. Like the symbolic hit in life. Bam! A setback, you fall. And then you go, okay, left was not the good one, let's go to the right. And then okay, that was a success, and then you move on. But you have the constant stress moving forward. Do I have to go left, straight ahead, right? What is the right one? Oh no, I made the wrong choice again. By the end, you're so tired, or you get enthusiastic, like, yes, I found it. Yes. For example, I found the center. And then you turn around and you see another 4 exits, and the whole process starts again. Which one to take? So that's a typical phrase we use here is work hard, play hard. For me, that is a typical maze explanation. That is, whoa, high end, and go for the success. Yes, yes, play up, wrong choice, try again, move on. And that is also the very male organization of our society. You have to take actions, you have to make decisions, you have to, have faith. Okay, wrong one again, action, go. That is so male, and even when I'm talking about it, you feel the exhaustment in that approach. That's why it's so needed that we need to see life again as a labyrinth, because a labyrinth has one entrance, and that entrance is also the exit. And you know that when you walk a labyrinth is your life path. It is your path. But what is also included in labyrinths is that you can make a turn in life. Life is not one straight road. You make a turn. And maybe you can make a turn and you feel that feeling now, hey, I'm coming back to my center. But then you take another turn and then you feel a little bit more space again, but you get other experience. But the essence of the labyrinth is that you really can surrender to life, knowing that when you keep walking the labyrinth, you always enter the center. You always will find your center. Always. Because that's the essence of a labyrinth. And when you get that extraordinary meeting with your center and your higher self and your earth and everything, then you are so feeling enlightened and strong and enthusiastic that you just have to turn around and walk the same path again to get out to the labyrinth. And at that moment, when you step into life of the reality again, always you feel empowered, always. So, and that is such a big difference between living life like a maze and living life like a labyrinth. You feel empowered. You can completely surrender to life. That doesn't mean that things are happening in your life. For example, like taking a turn can really feel that you have to let go of a thought, a person, a lifestyle, a job, a place to live. Things can happen and will happen in life, but when you feel that it is part of your journey and you're still on your journey and it was not your fault and you didn't make that mistake, you didn't make a wrong choice, it's just life, but keep walking and having that faith, that is so reinforcing you and making you much less stressful you know. Yeah, all diseases, for example, I'm not going to say that labyrinth will dissolve everything, but in a labyrinth, you can't be overstressed, you know. Having a burnout by uh, um, uh, encountering different walls in your life, you know, and that mindset of making the wrong choice, that puts people into burnouts. When you surrender to life, you can mourn about life because you need to experience the emotions of life, but your core is always a core of having faith and surrender and feeling supported of life. At least you feel the support of a labyrinth. And every time you walk a labyrinth, you really feel that female support energy, like Mother Earth is really putting her arms, and the cosmos also putting the arms around you and supporting your journey, whatever happens in that journey.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. This, like I said, this excites me so much, and I actually like it. It activates me. Like I love that you use the word activate because I was using other words and I realized no, activate is the perfect word. But there's certain things that spark. I kept thinking spark my creativity. It makes me feel more creative. Like I want to like after listening to something or doing something, I want to go write a story or I want to paint something, you know? And something about the labyrinth, the symbology of the labyrinth sparks that creativity and activates something in me, you know? And I love your description of or explanation about how mazes and labyrinths are different. It's what I had read as well. Like, you know, like you said, a maze can have multiple entrances and exits. It also has dead ends, which is like terrifying because you just went all this way and now you gotta turn back around and start over, you know. For some people, because I like to think of this, because like you said, there's different levels to this, but for some people, they can't even imagine that life is a labyrinth. They've had such a life in this incarnation, if you believe in reincarnation, which I do, they've had such a life, such a hectic and just traumatic life that all they can imagine, they're looking at you like, what do you mean a labyrinth? There's no straight path. And so what I love about the idea, and I'm actually getting goosebumps now, is that the labyrinth is, to me, it's like the labyrinth is life. It is. No matter what you say, the labyrinth is life. However, with your perception, the way that you see it or decide to see it or allow the world to allow you to see it, you can create mazes within the labyrinth. And it's not until you it's not until you like, and I like that you kept using the word have faith, and not until you trust, surrender, have faith that you can get past the illusion of the mazes and realize that all you have to do is keep moving forward and follow the path. And then you're going to get right back to where you started. And then it also goes back to, because like I said, I do a lot of NDEs and spiritual talk, the idea of going back to source. The labyrinth in itself is very serpentine. When you look at it, it very clearly looks like a snake. I don't know how to pronounce this word. I'll have something come up. But when they talk about the snake eating its tail, the whole idea of reincarnation, the idea of us as souls going back to source in the end, like this continuous reincarnation cycle, that's the labyrinth. If we're going right back to where we started, that's it. That's the whole creation story.
Yeah. You what the labyrinth does is it shows you the way to your essence, to your center. So it brings you to your essence again. And when you are in the center, when you arrived in the center place of the labyrinth, it is really the invitation to make that connection, not only within yourself, but also with source. That is the place where you have that alignment, and that's why I say that a labyrinth is an activation. And based on maybe also your personal skills, the exercise that you can do in walking that labyrinth, is it you can have a more intense experience. Remarks that I hear sometimes are, yeah, but I don't feel anything when I walk into a labyrinth. Does it work? Yes, it always does what it does. But the fact that you don't feel it, even I always feel something, but it depends on the state you are in, the amount of sensitivity that you personally have, that you can experience the subtle energy of the labyrinth. And sometimes you can just walk a labyrinth to, you know, after a hard day of work. I've built this summer, I've built a labyrinth in my garden.
Wow.
So yeah, and I can just do the labyrinth, and you know, end of the day, and you know, make the transition between the working day and the evening. So nothing too high end, nothing too spiritual and deep, you know, just by using it in your daily life. And then even then it does what it does, you know. You can really ask the labyrinth to support your journey with whatever question you have at that moment. And sometimes the questions can be very earthly and easy, like, you know, help me to close my working day and to release the stress of the day, and you know, enter in my evening. A very basic one. But you can use it also more profound to get answers to a certain question, a question that also can be job related, a new way of seeing a problem because you're stuck in finding a kind of solution. Walk a labyrinth, ask for another perspective, the other perspective will come. You can also use it for emotional transformation, and there a lot it is used for, with mornings. A person or your dog, or you know, you are in that emotion. Walk a labyrinth, ask the labyrinth to guide and to support you in that grief, to relieve, you know, to make that soft again. And yeah, it is really so fantastic how a labyrinth is your partner in life. That is a nice one. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, me too. I just
it's the same. Download.
Yeah.
So when you were talking, I kind of think of labyrinths, and you can tell me if this makes any sense. On one hand, I was thinking about a walkabout, like in, you know, in the Aborigine, they go on the walkabout, they kind of walk through. So I don't know if that's more like the labyrinth or the maze, or it doesn't matter, but I just, that idea of just like the same way you did the silent tour, like that whole idea of leaving what your normal everyday environment is and going on this journey or hero's journey, so that you, and again, this is the labyrinth, you know, so you going out from your center, and then only to have these experiences and come back to your center, you know? And it's something about it that's transformational. I also think of it as walking meditation. You know, I do see the labyrinth and meditation as being very similar in what they can do for a person.
Yes, you know? Absolutely. Labyrinth is what's called a moving meditation. It is, you can enter a meditative state when you walk a labyrinth. And that's completely correct. And it's also used like that, to use it as a form to get into the meditative state instead of sitting. It is the walking version. Supported. That is also very another element to explain about the labyrinth. You have hundreds of different forms of labyrinths. You have square forms, you have rectangle forms, you have the really circle forms, you have the more spiral forms, and then you have all kinds of different organizations and structures of the paths that are going and were designed inside. But an important element in the creation of a labyrinth or in a form of the labyrinth is that they are geometrically correct. A labyrinth is a sacred space, and it's also a geometrically correct designed form, which means that you have the power of the geometry in his form. And that's why making a labyrinth is a skill on its own. You can, I also do it for fun. Every time that I go to the beach and on a holiday, you design a labyrinth with your hands in the sand, and it has a little bit the movements, the little things of the sand, and that's good, that's correct, and that's very nice and pleasant, and you walk the labyrinth and it is nice. But the working of the labyrinth is not that strong than when you build it really correctly with all the measurements and the right bows and spaces between and so on. It's because that's the extra element of the labyrinth, is when the form is also made, it should be correct as the geometry is. And then you really have the power of the form that can do its work. And then it doesn't matter if it is put on the ground or the form is on a finger labyrinth. When the basic, for example, this labyrinth, this is made correctly, geometrically this is correct, and every turn is in balance,
So does it have to be symmetrical? Is that what you're saying? Does it?
No, it doesn't have to be. No, it doesn't have to be symmetrical. It's not about symmetry. It's about the making the bows and the forms should be, for example, in the same spaces in between, and there are rules in creating a labyrinth, and that you can only do when you make a labyrinth for example, on the ground. You need to follow that form. When you draw it with your hand, it's not that stable. You make a turn and you say, oh, we go there, and then it's about 5 centimeters, a little bit wider, and so that is not the form in its geometry, but it is the path, and it's nice to walk the path and to have that experience, but you miss the energy of the sacred form.
And I love that you settle that, because then it goes back to the idea that, if this symbolizes life or creation or the universe, we have laws. We actually have universal laws that, and that, well, you have the physical laws, of course, but you have universal and metaphysical laws as well. So I like that idea. So I want to go a little bit into, and I have to make sure this one thing I don't forget to mention, but a little bit into the history, because I had found this really great YouTube channel that explained, or video that explains so much about labyrinths. Like, it really went into like minutia, with it, very, minute detail. So I want to just mention a couple of things that I had picked up that I thought were really interesting. And then if you want to add to just the history of labyrinths, and then from there we're going to jump into the metaphysics, and then we can end there. Okay.
Okay. Good.
So.